Hi everyone, welcome back to the Fat Lady Knits. As you know, I've been under the gun because I promised the princess socks, but I need to show you what I've been up against. Here is a sample of what she does to her socks. See that? It looks as though the sock grew a mouth. No one else in the family does this. I don't understand. Okay? And then she did it to both of them. Look at this one. Okay. Now this is supposed to be hard wearing sock yarn. I'm speechless. I've never This is the only child who comes back with socks that look like this. I don't know what she does. And then when I thought I had seen it all, she brought me another pair. This time, look at the heel. Okay. Look at the toe. Do you think her nickname should be Queen of Holes? Because I don't get it. And what does she say to me? Look at this heel. Can you save them? Save them to make them rags? I mean, what could I possibly do to save this? The one interesting thing though is this isn't sock yarn, but this part held up well. It's the sock yarn that didn't hold up well. Does that make sense? The yarn that was not designed for socks is awesome. It's fine. It still looks good except for where she stepped on it, and even then it has no holes. But the sock yarn has holes. I'm missing something here. I'm not sure what. But I promised I would make her socks, and I kept my word. And I tried two different methods to see if I could save, not to see if I could save, but to see if I could produce a sock that she will not put a hole in. These are perfect. I like the way they came out. And you know it has her blue. If it doesn't have blue, she's not going to wear it. And what I did with this one, this is yarn I dyed. It's ordinary merino for sock. And I dyed it in all these colors. Fortunately, there's blue in it, so she won't have a fit, and there's no pink. Okay, it's a little reddish, but there's no pink. And I doubled it. So this part of the sock is all single, but here I've doubled it, and it made a really tough, it does have some stretch, but this is tough because I'm trying to see if this can survive the heel of her foot. And then I went back to doing a single at this point, the length of the foot, till I got to the part that should be under her foot. Again, I doubled it. I used the same yarn that I dyed. It's looking a little pinky there, but it's orange. Or at least that's the story I'm going to stick to when I give it to her. But this is now hard. It doesn't have as much give. And I made it, let's see. Yeah, I made it this, what I did, the tension for the rib is a 5. The tension for the plain part of the sock is a 7. And on this one, I made this in a 9 because at 8 it was like steel. It would not move. It had no give. So when I put it at a 9, I had to redo it. It does have some give now, and I'm hoping by doubling it, the sock will last. If it doesn't, I don't know what else to do. The one thing I did notice in doubling the yarn, you have to be very careful because it wants to dog air. So in instances where you would reduce the toe by 2 stitches twice, you need to do it, I think it would be good to do it 3 times. That way it will stay perfectly round. But I have my fingers crossed, and I'm going to give these to her so she can test them out. And she'll tell me whether or not she thinks these heels and these toes are too tough or whatever it is she's thinking. And remember these? I forget what episode these were in, and I thought let's do yellow duplicate stitch to see if I could toughen this up. Well, what I did instead, I doubled it, but I really made it very loose. As you can see, this is much looser, okay, to give it some give. And it still has that rounded shape. But I think what saved it is I realized because this was now so big compared to the rest of the sock that I needed to do a shorter heel instead of a longer one because then it would be too big for her foot. And I put a lot, I doubled it at the heel also, and I made it looser. So see this stretch here. And again, I use yarn that I dyed. This is a great way to use up all those little bits and pieces you have left over from the other socks that you make. And I'm hoping she likes one or both of them. And even more, I am hoping that they survive and I don't get them back looking like this. Because I know I can save this. I can just cut this off and add some color or something. But once I fix this, I don't know if the heel will survive. So this might just be a lost cause. Okay? And so that's that. So the princess can stop giving me the side eye. I have started making socks for her. I think for her, I'm going to have to make 365 pairs of socks, or maybe 370. So she has one for each day and a spare. Maybe that's the only way to stop her socks from having holes. But I'm trying. I have some other ideas, but we'll get to that in another video. I wanted to make a dent in it because she's been complaining, where are my socks? At least 2 are done. Now, I had some other socks I wanted to make her. Now, this is interesting. This is, our favorite Croy sock yarn that's supposed to be awesome. And okay, what did I discover? Because they're stripes, I tried to match them. I had 3 skeins. And since I have a circular sock machine, I said, let me run these on so I can match up the stripes. What did I find out? It took work to match up the stripes. Because as you see, this one, look at the pattern it starts with. This one starts someplace completely different. So had I just gone to the machine and started 2 different sides of socks, they would never have matched. One sock would have started with this blue, and one sock would have started with this. And it doesn't bother me, but I know there's some people who that's not going to work for them. Okay, then I added the 3rd one to the mix, and it started someplace else completely. The one good thing about having the circular sock machine is you can do this in minutes, as opposed to doing it by hand and going, my God, they don't match, or pulling out yarn and trying to get them to match. That can make a mess. But because I did these 3 different tubes on the circular sock machine, I can look and see. Now, doesn't it look as though it's going to match? If I started somewhere up here. But then let's turn it. Yeah, that looks more like a match. Yeah, because I can see where it's double green on this side, it's double green on that. So this looks like I have a good chance if I wind them in the same direction of having a matching sock until we get all the way down here. Now, isn't this weird? The 2 of them are going well once I match them up until we get, can you see that? Did I have that? Until we get down here, look at this. If we then go from this green, the greens are matching, that black and white. Actually, the black and white doesn't match. Look at that. These are 2 different blacks and whites. I don't know if it would show on the sock, but even if no one noticed, Once we get past the black and the white and then the blue, look at that. There's a little bit of blue here and a lot of blue here. So if I were trying to match, I would have to stop right here with these socks. And we haven't even brought this one in to see, does it match? Okay, doesn't match this way. Doesn't match this way. Brown, where do I have brown? Here's brown. No, it matches going this way. That's not going to help me. Let's see if we turn them both. This is where, nope, doesn't match. No, not at all. So now I have a tube that's the odd man out. Not a problem, I'll save it. I have lots of this yarn. There's probably one in there somewhere that will match it. So I'm going to make socks from her, from these two, because I can get them to match. And I found I have the same problem. So this seems to be a pattern for this sock yarn. You really need to, because you have a CSM, you need to, it's easy if at first when you put them together you find that they match, great. But as you can see from the previous ones, it might suddenly change on you. But if you knit up the tubes, you can look at them. I put these together. You can hold them next to each other and kind of try to eyeball. And it looks like maybe they'll match if you start them both this way. But once again, if you start, you see where they start to match around like this blue. So if you're going to make a socks, if you have any hope of getting the stripes to match, you would have to make sure you start them both going this way, and you would lose almost all this yarn on this side that you couldn't use. Okay, and what about this one? Do I even want to look? The blue is in the wrong direction. Let's see. This one, the matching is all the way down. So that means from this up is waste yarn. They start matching here. And let's come down. Let's see if we turn it this way. Yeah, you can see the matching easier. And then they come down. Yeah. So I should pin this together because it's annoying to have to do this in the first place. So I don't want to do it a second time. So now I know I have at least 2 sets of croy yarn that I have matched, so I can begin making more socks from the princess. And I have some other ideas of what to do with this so that we don't get holes. Oh, okay, and that's only one princess down. I have so many more to go, and we haven't even gotten to the princess. But I did say, I promised in front of all of you that I would start making socks for her, so I'm on the job. Okay, I'm not sure how many of the finished socks you'll see, because since she only has 2, as soon as they're done, she's gonna take them and run. But I'll try and get pictures. We'll see what happens. Oh, at least I've begun to make a dent in it. That's a load off my mind. But I think for her, 370 pairs of socks is what I'm going to have to do. But that's all right. I have a CSM and I'm on it. Thank you. I am exhausted just doing this. Could you imagine when I'm sitting there and actually cranking? But that's all right. That's why I have a CSM. So till next time, I catch you. Fun crafting. And if you're working with the croy sock yarn and you have a CSM, thank God. At least now you can crank tubes, especially with stripes, to see if they match. And you probably should do the same thing with the designer yarns, because as we know, not all dyers are created equal. Till next time, have fun, bye, and thanks for stopping by.